Estamos en nuestra sala botellada otra vez. Here we are in our flipped classroom, and I just want to remind you guys of a couple expectations, right? Tres expectaciones. Make sure you're demonstrating self-management. Work alone, especially if we're in class right now. Make sure you use your time wisely, and make sure all your tasks are complete. So if you don't get them done in class today, make sure they are done by the start of next class. Vamos a ver número dos. Number two, make sure you take notes. You will have to turn in your notes to me next class, so make sure that you do have that. In lieu of traditional homework, you should have notes. Y la tres, tenemos aquí, you need to reflect and evaluate on your progress. Make sure you're asking yourself what you don't understand. Rewind and repeat as many times as you need. Pause when I say to pause to make sure that you're doing those comprehension checks, okay? All right, chicos, vamos a ver las metas. Here are our goals. Today we are learning to identify new essential vocabulary. The new vocabulary will be about school, our class subjects that we take here at Reagan, our hours of the day, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, and adjectives we want to use to describe those classes. We're also learning to evaluate the meaning of new target questions and apply our old knowledge to our new knowledge and skills. And so you're going to see a lot of things are recycled, a lot of words are recycled, and you'll be able to apply those to the new words that I give you today. You'll be successful if you can take notes on the vocabulary, if you can identify new vocabulary in a short comprehension check that I give you once in a while throughout, so I'll say try it out. And then lastly, if you can translate questions that I give to you and a whole conversation at the end that incorporates both your new language and your old language. All right, so here's the point that if you have had any Spanish in the past, I would love for you to try this out. You want to write these down in your notes and then press pause and see if you know any of these. As well, you might notice tenemos muchos cognados. There's a ton of cognates. So also press pause and try it out even if you haven't had Spanish, because there might be a bunch that you know and you'll be surprised you got right off the bat. All right, so let's take a look. So our classes, we want to try the pronunciation of these as well. So let's start with the first one, las clases. Repita, las clases. El horario. El horario. Matemáticas. Matemáticas. Álgebra. Álgebra. Inglés. Inglés. Español. Español. Ciencias naturales. Ciencias naturales. Biología. Biología. El almuerzo. Almuerzo. You're going to notice that this is not a class, but rather lunch, porta part of your day. Ciencias sociales. Ciencias sociales. Educación cívica. Educación cívica. Arte. Arte. Coro. Coro. Educación física. Educación física. Diseño. Diseño. Teatro. Teatro. Banda. Banda. ELO. ELO. At this point, make sure that you write down all of the translations so you have them in your notes. All right. ¿Dónde están los cognados? Take a second, press pause, and put a little star in pencil next to all of those that you think are cognates. Remember, cognates are words that look like the same thing in multiple languages, at least 2 languages or more. So we're looking at cognates between the Spanish and English languages. They sound similar, and they're spelled either identically or very closely related, and they have the same meaning. So press pause again, and afterwards see if you can find them. All right, so las clases looks like class, matemáticas, math, algebra, English. That one, we know it, but it's not a cognate. And that's why a lot of people will circle that one, español. It doesn't sound like Spanish, though. We just know it. Ciencias naturales, natural sciences, is a cognate, even though we just think of it as science. Biología, biology, ciencias sociales, social studies, educación cívica, civic education, arte, art, coro, choir, educación física, physical education, teatro, theater, banda, band. So when we look at those, you know, I am giving you a lot of new vocabulary, and we are close to final exams, but when you look at those words, so many of them are cognates, it shouldn't be hard for you to adapt these into your vocabulary. All right, la práctica. Let's think about this. If I saw this image, would it be la clase de álgebra or la clase de biología? La clase de biología. We'll also include this to say biology class. If I say biología by itself, I just say biology. La clase de biología is biology class. What about this one? La clase de almuerzo or la clase de diseño? This one's almuerzo. And for this one, we don't say la clase de because lunch isn't a class. So this would just simply be el almuerzo. Me gusta el almuerzo. I like lunch, for example. All right, la clase de inglés o la clase de educación cívica. La clase de educación cívica. All right, let's take a look at these questions here. We have, ¿qué clase te gusta más? ¿Te gusta la clase de arte? Pues, write down what you think these questions are asking you. These should look really familiar to you. So here I had before, ¿qué te gusta más? That's all old language, right? ¿Qué te gusta más? What do you like more? But I used to say like bailar or esquiar. And now I'm just using new language. ¿Qué clase te gusta más? Would be what class do you like more? Here we also see old language again, te gusta, right? Do you like? And instead of saying te gusta bailar, te gusta esquiar, now I use my new language. ¿Te gusta la clase de arte? Do you like art class? And pues, well, Ferris Bueller doesn't know if he likes many classes, so he just says, well. Next up, we look at los adjetivos. We've been focusing on adjectives. Unit 1 was filled with adjectives. And we use these adjectives to give us reason, por qué. For example, in our last unit we just took an assessment on, I would say, for example, ¿te gusta bailar? You know, and you would say, sí, me gusta porque yo soy muy artística. The why reasoning. So when somebody asks you, do you like a class? Do you like Spanish? Do you like math? What class do you like more, English or citizenship? You'll be able to tell them why. Porque la clase es muy divertida. La clase es muy fácil. These are a bunch of different adjectives for you. Again, press pause right now and try it out. Also try translating the two conversations right here and press play when you think you're ready to see. All right, so let's take a look at our vocabulary here, los adjetivos. Divertido or divertida, we're talking about a class, and because class is feminine, la clase, we'll be using the feminine forms of the adjectives. So this would have an A on it. But I could say, el chico es divertido, he is fun, and then it would be a masculine form. So remember, adjectives have two forms if they end with that O or A. So divertido, divertida, fácil, fácil, difícil, difícil, interesante, interesante, aburrido, aburrida, bueno, buena, malo, mala. Now notice our old language here. ¿Cómo es tu mamá? What is your mom like, or how is your mom described? ¿Cómo es tu hermano? What is your brother like? We see this old sentence structure in here, now mixed with the new vocabulary. So instead of saying, what is your mom like, or how is your mom described, I'm now asking what Spanish class is like. ¿Cómo es la clase de español? ¿Cómo es la clase de matemáticas? ¿Cómo es la clase de ciencias naturales? Here, instead of saying, my mom is, mi madre es deportista, still have this S form. Get crossed it out. Still have this S form, right? So we see la clase de español is our new language. Spanish is, and here we've had S, we've had muy, muy, muy. We now have a new adjective, divertida. So la clase de español es muy, muy, muy divertida. por supuesto, que se dice of course. All right. So here we are mixing our new with our old. All right, poco más. Here we're going to look at our schedules in the day. At Reagan, we have 2 different days, los días de A, los días de B, A days and B days. And we have a bunch of numbers. And these are different numbers. That's the only hint I'll give you. Press pause and try them out in your notes. So let's take a look at these. Right here, we've been focusing with numeros ordinales. Instead of our cardinal numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 172, ordinal numbers are the ones in English that we say first, second, third, 11th. Those are considered ordinal numbers, or numeros ordinales. Here we have our ordinal numbers, and we're looking at primera, segunda, tercera, cuarta, quinta, sexta, séptimo, octava, novena, décima. I think for this one I actually said séptimo instead of séptima. And here's something to remember is that these are all feminine forms of these. And that's because when we're talking about las clases and las horas, those are both feminine concepts, noticing that they use the feminine structures. But I would say, like if he's the third boy, él es tercero, if I'm talking about something that is masculine, or el tercer grupo, the third group of something, you would use a masculine form. But we'll have A's and R's when we're talking about las clases and when we talk about las horas, because those are both feminine concepts. So let's take a look at this conversation here. We have cuando tienes la clase de banda, and the response is yo tengo la clase de banda en la séptima hora. Me gusta mucho la clase. Try right now and see if you can figure out what this is meaning. All right, so let's take a look at some of our old language here. Now, a little bit like yo tengo we've used, yo tengo 15 años. We've used it in a couple different forms. We've had the word en before. We've had the word me gusta mucho before. So here I think you've got quite a few things that you do know. Cuando you know is when, like cuando hace frío, que te gusta hacer. So we've got some old language here, mixed with a little bit of new language. So let's see if you were able to break this down. So this first question was saying, when do you have band class? When do you have band class? Okay, and the answer is I have band class 7th hour. Okay, or block 7. I like the class a lot. I like the class a lot. All right, now this one's a little bigger. So necesitamos más tiempo. You're going to need more time. We're all going to need more time. You want to press pause, and you want to try to translate this conversation. Use your notes that you took today in La Sala Volteada. Use your notes from other units if you see some old vocabulary here that you just can't remember what it is. And then press pause to see, or I'm sorry, press play again to see if you've got it. All right, so our conversation looks like this. And I'm going to underline too the old and the new stuff. Hola Snoopy, ¿cómo estás? Yo estoy bien, gracias. ¿Y tú? Yo estoy emocionada para el Día de Acción de Gracias. This was down here to help you out. Yo también, pero ¿cuáles clases tienes hoy? Yo tengo álgebra, español, educación física y diseño. ¿Y tú? Yo tengo inglés, teatro, educación física y cívica y banda. Señor Moore, food. ¿Te gusta la clase de banda? ¿Qué clase te gusta más? ¿Banda o teatro? A mí me gusta banda mucho porque me gusta practicar la guitarra. ¿Cuándo tienes la clase de banda? Yo tengo la clase de banda en la cuarta hora. ¿Cómo es la clase de banda? Banda es divertida, pero es un poco difícil también. Me gusta practicar todos los días. Interesante. Tengo que irme. Hasta luego. Sí, hasta pronto. So you see here, the green is all new language and the red is all old language, and you're probably able to differentiate right now. Wow, there's a lot that I can apply to something new. Make sure you've got your notes in class next time. Mil gracias y hasta luego.